We are following a major change to airports nationwide. TSA officials say they will no longer require passengers to take off their shoes during security checks. The big question is, why the change? We're working to answer that for you and see how passengers here in Columbus are responding. Thanks for staying with us at 4:30. I'm Colin Dorsey. Angela has the afternoon off. Well, joining me live from Atlanta right now is CNN's Ivan Rodriguez. Ivan, after nearly 2 decades, what exactly is the reason for this change in security policy?
Well, Colin, exactly right. We've been taking off our shoes at airports across the U.S. since 2006. Now, in the last 2 decades, the advancements in technology allowed the TSA to take this step. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem says part of the multi-layered security in place includes the recent implementation of Real ID. Noem says they're currently seeing 94% passenger compliance with Real ID, but even passengers who still don't have a Real ID can still keep their shoes on, she says. Now, one instance where you might have to take your shoes off is if you get flagged for additional screening. But again, not having a Real ID might mean additional screening either way, according to the TSA.
Yeah, and Ivan, this is a big change. It's all been in place for more than 2 decades now. Are there any other changes in TSA rules that we could expect in the future?
So Secretary Noem says changes to other TSA rules are being considered if they can be implemented safely. We spoke with a travel expert with the Points Guy, and he actually told us that one of the changes could be the size of liquids in carry-on bags, which has already been happening in some airports overseas, for example, in the UK. But he says that the bad news is the TSA doesn't predict that will happen until 2040. Now, why 2040? Because not all the airports have the new CT scanners that are those giant those are giant scanners that can scan, I should say, larger size liquid containers. And even once they are able to go there, they're so heavy and they're so large, some airport floors might have to be reinforced. So all that could take years and years.
Ivan, thanks so much. CNN's Ivan Rodriguez reporting for us live from Atlanta. Thanks. Well, this policy change is already being felt at John Glenn Columbus International Airport. 10 TV's Amy Steigerwald has a look at how it will affect your experience at the airport.
This is definitely a big change for many travelers at airports all across the country. When you go through TSA, you will not have to take your shoes off anymore, and officials are hoping that kind of moves security lines a little faster.
Homeland Security officials say despite the change, they're still able to keep you safe at airports and on a flight thanks to cutting-edge technology and a multi-layered security approach. It's going to be a big and likely welcomed adjustment for travelers who've had to take their shoes off when going through TSA since 2006. Before this new change, only travelers who had TSA pre-check were allowed to walk through security with no shoes. This is the second biggest security adjustment made this year at American airports, following the Real ID mandate going into place back in May. Officials say so far they've seen a 94% compliance rate with travelers across the country.
We anticipate that Americans and travelers and those coming into our country will be very excited that they will no longer have to remove their shoes.
I think it's amazing that we don't have to take our shoes off anymore in standard check-in, especially when you're older and, we do a lot of carry-ons. So it's just, one more thing to think about.
Now, the plan is to roll this out at airports across the country this week. Here at John Glenn Columbus International Airport, we're already watching travelers not take their shoes off through those checkpoints. Reporting at John Glenn Columbus International Airport, Amy Steigerwald for 10 TV News.